EA Sports. It's in the game.
I'll preface this video by saying this, that no game that I have played to date on Retro Sundays, or I think will play on Retro Sundays, that's not a guarantee, but pretty well a guarantee. I don't think there'll be another game on Retro Sundays that I play that means as much to me as this one. Hello and welcome to Retro Sundays on EA Sports F1 Manager. The best F1 Manager game of all time. Or at least to my nostalgic eye. This was the last officially licensed F1 management game until the ones that we know now, the modern ones. F1 Manager 2022 by Frontier Developments. This was a game that was published by EA Sports exclusively for Windows. There was no console. This was back in 2000. Followed the 1999 World Formula 1 Championship. This was developed by a company called Intelligent Games, who weren't that intelligent because they were liquidated at the end of 2002, only 2 years after this game was released. Other notable games that they worked on in the sports genre, they were linked with PGA Tour 98, Tiger Woods 99 PGA Tour Golf, Pro 18 World Tour Golf, never heard of that one, Tweeny's Game Time, now we all know that one, Lego Stunt Rally, and their final notable game on here is the 2002 FIFA World Cup game. But this game was, oh boy, my teenage years, it took up so much of my time in those teenage years. And it took up quite a bit of time this weekend to get this game working. And that actually wasn't the biggest barrier. The biggest barrier was to be able to record it so it's clean for you guys to see. I genuinely contemplated at one point just putting an iPad or a phone camera in front of my screen and putting it on a tripod and playing it like that. That was the lengths that I wanted to bring this to you guys. So I have to say a big thank you to PS Luton Rules or PSL Racing, who used to do a series on this game many years ago. And I can't remember whether it was his series or something else that brought me to this game for the first time. But I asked him the question because I was having difficulties loading the game while recording in Windows 11. And he provided the solution, I think. So a massive thank you to him. But the nostalgia I have for this game is absolutely huge. It actually has got to a point where I'm so engrossed in the 1999 Formula 1 season that over the years I've collected Mini Champs models and Hot Wheels models of Formula 1 cars. And the 1999 season and the 2010 season, of course, the 2010 being massively fueled by my nostalgia for the first serious Codemaster games. And that's not really much disrespect to the 2009 F1 title, but it is some remnants of truth there. Or some semblance of truth, I should say. I've collected all of the 1999 cars of those Mini Champs. So every day when I get up in the morning, I can see the title-winning Mika Hakkinen of the 1999 F1 season. Now, this was a game, as you'll see. Now, what we're going to do today, I think, is go very basically into a game, load it up quickly, and just do the first race. There's not going to be anything beyond that. But this is a game that you could just get lost in. There are so many silly things that can happen in this game. The licensing was unlimited almost for this game. So Michael Schumacher could go to McLaren. Ferrari could have Mercedes engines. There are so many strange things that could happen in this game. And boy, have I lived most of them. Looking back, I've done playthroughs with Jordan, Stewart, Benetton, Prost, Williams, even Arrows over the years, and BAR. just for the cool thing with BAR, I'm sure this is right, looking at, well, I should know, having the Mini Champ models, looking at both sides of the car and them being different colours. That really was half the fun of it. But there are so many great things that I can say about this game that if you've never seen it before, oh boy, are you in for a treat. This is a genuine copy. It isn't, it's not something I've downloaded from the internet. This came with a PC copy of F1 2001 on PC. It's a limited edition pack which includes F1 Manager. What we always like to do on these Retro Sundays before we get into things is to have a look what EA Sports are offering as well this year. So we're going to quickly look at that. I'll put an extra chapter in the video, so if you don't want to see this, then you can go straight on to when we get embroiled in the world of F1 management.
EA Sports.
It's in the game. Yeah, man. Well, the difference between all those games and this one is that you actually sit on the sidelines. So graphically, it's not as much of a problem. We can all nostalgise, if that's a word, be nostalgic, and sit back and look at this. So let's get into this, because this could be a long one as it is. So in this screen, you've got 11 teams you can take over at the start of the 99-99 season. To go through each one in turn, you have the Arrows team, so that was Pedro De La Rosa, Tora Takagi, Stephen Watson as a test driver. One of the other funny quirks of this game is that some of the EA employees became well renowned through the F1 manager community, I'll call. Was Neil McEwen one of those? So developers, executives on the game found their way into this. British American Racing with recent world champion Jacques Villeneuve, Ricardo Zonta as well. Benetton, which is the team I think we're going to pick for today. I've had quite a lot of fun with Benetton in the past. Giancarlo Fisichella and Alex Wirtz. Scuderia Ferrari, Ross Brawn there as the technical director. The boss of F1 now, Stefano Domenicali there as the commercial manager. So really you manage these 9 elements. The 3 main honchos of the team, the 3 drivers, and then engine, electronics and brake system. Jordan Grand Prix, bless him, old EJ. I still can't believe he's gone. Mike Gascoigne, Ian Phillips, names you might have heard of. Perhaps Damon Hill, another world champion. Heinz-Harald Frentzen with the Mugen Honda engine. Who could ever forget that? McLaren, the world champions in this year, with Adrian Newey as a technical director. Mika Hakkinen, David Coulthard, and a little-known Nick Heidfeld as their test driver. Minardi, Luca Badoa, Marc Genet, Gaston Mazzacane as their test driver. Prost, I remember I had a save with Prost and took over the world with Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello as my 2 drivers. In this case, Olivier Panis and Jarno Trulli. Stefan Sarazan as their test driver. Sauber, Jean Alesi, the former race winner. Pedro Diniz, Petronas engine in that Red Bull Sauber. Stewart, good old Jackie. Gary Anderson as a technical director. Remember him really well, very nicely on the BBC's F1 coverage. Or was it Channel 4? I think it was the BBC for that one season. Rubens Barrichello, Johnny Herbert, both there. And then finally, Williams F1, Alessandro Zanardi and Ralf Schumacher at that team. We're going to jump into things with Benetton, Formula 1 racing team. So we've got Nick Worth as chief designer, Pat Simmons as technical director, David Warren as commercial manager. So folks, it's all changed at Benetton. And this was brilliant, by the way. This news screen was excellent. The amount of laughter this used to bring up with... Because what would happen is, you had to secure the drivers pretty quickly. Because by the 4th race of the season, everything was confirmed for next season. It was so early that the things happened. So Benetton have surprised everybody by enlisting the services of myself. You can't move between teams in this game. That's a disappointment. And here we go, into the main screen. This is so nostalgic. So with each team in the first year, you had to finish a position or higher in the Constructors' Championship. I've never had a series where maybe you finished a bit below and you get the benefit of the doubt like you would maybe in Football Manager. If you didn't finish 4th or higher with Benetton, you were out the door and you were starting again. It's not like you could move to another team. And I believe, I could be wrong in this, that this, particularly with the top teams, was to finish 1 place higher than they did last season. Now, Benetton finished 6th in real life, so that is quite a challenge to go and finish 4th. So we get a welcome from all of the guys. You know, it's not really a surprise. They're pretty generic, those welcomes that you get from the guys. So you have the personnel, you can see. So for next year, it's to be announced. You only had 1-year contracts, so you couldn't sign somebody up for years and years. For instance, Giancarlo Fisichella. I mean, look at his stats there. So for next year, you could pretty much go into negotiations with anybody. Nobody you could see signed up for next year. So you have Neil McEwen. Owain Green was another one. I don't know if all of these were just execs on this game or developers or whatever you want to call them. I think Bruno Junqueira was one of the earlier ones because he was a driver who famously had a battle with Jenson Button to get that drive at Williams for the 2000 season. Gaston Mazzacani, I guess, then is the first sort of known driver. But look at that, fantastic. You had all the test drivers as well. So the likes of Mika Salo, who did make an appearance during the 99 season when Schumacher broke his leg, is here. The highest rated driver who isn't on the grid is Salo. Who else we got here? Nick Heidfeld. I can't remember whether the overall ratings change over the seasons. I can't remember whether that's something that happened. Patrick Lemery as well. Thomas Enger, who was at Jordan. And Luciano Berti as well. So that's the personnel screen. The same is the case for the chief designers. I mean, that's more like Danny Dyer. Not Daddy Dyer. Danny Dyer than Nick Worth. Rory Byrne. Neil Oatley. Some of the big names. Just thinking, you know, if you're maybe a newer fan of F1. Because this was 25 years ago, of course. I mean, Pat Simmons, pretty well-known name. I think the main couple probably would be Adrian Newey, of course. Ross Brawn. Patrick Head. Mike Gascoigne. Yeah. And Pat Simmons. And then as commercial managers, we've got David Warren. Stefano Domenicali. Wonder what he's doing with himself these days. Ian Phillips. Good old Ian. Jim Wright at Williams. Test drive as well. We've got Laurent Redon. We'll have a look at Alex Wirtz as well. You can see he's, you know, really good driver. Suppliers, we're with Supertech at the moment. Flavio Briatore, I wonder why he's there. But yeah, there's sort of no, you know, you're Ferrari, so you can't negotiate with Mercedes, for instance. You can see our engine is quite a way down on the competition. But McLaren might go to Peugeot, and that makes them terrible, etc, etc. Electronics and brake system probably not as big. Design, so you can manufacture all sorts of different designs, but we're not going to look at that too much today. Sponsors as well. You can look at bringing new sponsors in to the place. You can see, yeah, there you go. So Buzzing Hornets are currently with Jordan. You can pinch them. White Square and Shell, two very known Ferrari sponsors. The game doesn't care about all that, and Red Bull might even leave Sauber and go to McLaren or Ferrari or something. So a lot of fun can be had with this game. In terms of the race season, there's 16 rounds, as it would be in 1999. But what we're going to do, just to make this as short as possible, is we are going to jump straight into the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park. Okay, so after quite a few clicks, we have made it to the first race of the season in Albert Park. Something I hadn't shown you was there's a point system for all the different team principals. That list doesn't change throughout the game. You can look at costs, etc, etc. I mean, Giancarlo, without twiddling his thumbs really, has cost us 1.5 million already. So we've gone to finish 4th this year. Now, we're only going to do the one race, of course. But this season, I think Ferrari and McLaren are in a league of their own. Jordan are a quite considerable 3rd. So it's going to be between ourselves, Stewart, possibly Williams for that 4th place. So it could be tough. So we've got to look to qualify at least in the top 10 here at Albert Park. So we're heading into the race. We get a practice session to start off with. A 45-minute practice session. And what you do within this session is send the drivers out, a little bit like F1 Manager, I guess, and work on the setup. So, let's put a bit of fuel in the car, and then, oh, here we go. Here we go. So we've sent both drivers out on track. So, there's the setup screen, there's a fastest lap screen. You could call this the main hub, really, where you can track both of your drivers' progress. And then the best of them all, the TV view. If you wanted to watch a full race in F1 Manager, you could, because you can follow your favourite driver in any mode you want, on board, off board, almost like a director cam, or you can just pop it in director mode and let the game determine what the most exciting action is. I mean, look at these graphics. But because there was no F1 Manager game about till 2022, that was officially licensed, of course, Motorsport Manager filled that gap in the 2010s for me, and that was a real big one. That I spent lots of hours playing that as well. But in terms of a licensed Formula 1 game that had a management perspective, I mean, this was just a game changer. Absolutely brilliant. And that Benetton car's lovely to look at. You know, the tyres are a bit sketchy and all the rest of it, but the one thing the game can pull off is the colours, and that lovely blue car is being displayed. So let's accelerate it on a little bit. Let's get a lap time on the board, and after a couple of laps we'll ease off and pit in. You'll hear Alexander Wirtz now with a very European accent. Yeah, every driver's the same, so whether you're Pedro De La Rosa, Alex Wirtz or Mika Hakkinen, they've all got the same accent. So go figure. So we have to soften the suspension substantially. Now, I have to spoil things. I did do a race just to test everything out with arrows a couple of days ago. So I know that, I think it was about 5. I might be wrong. The suspension stiffness that's needed. We'll pop them out there for a couple of more laps. What you'll notice as well is that the gaps between the guys are so massive that it's unbelievable. So what we'll do now, we know we've pretty much got the setup to a T, so we'll just let the guys get out there just to put some lap times in. And what we'll do, who are we going to follow? Who's on a lap? There you go, here's Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR. There you go, look. White and red. Oh, no, let's follow Jacques. There we go. White and red on the one side of the car, blue on the other. And that's the McLaren of, I would guess, Mika Hakkinen with the number 1 on his car, trying desperately to get past him. But obviously practice is a little bit different because you don't know if everybody's at different fuel loads. But after 2 sectors, after half of this track, Jacques Villeneuve is already 4.3 seconds down on whoever's top of the tree. And top of the tree so far is Michael Schumacher with a 1:33.7. And look at our lap time with a 1:40.7. And look at, I mean, Jack's on out laps, that's a little bit different. But look at Takagi's lap time in that Arrows, a 1:56. Here we go. Rubens is on a competitive lap. And I think that's Jim Rosenthal, isn't it? With the Rubens Barrichello. There you go, Pedro Diniz. Olivier Panis. David Coulthard, DC. Mika finally getting past the BAR of Jacques Villeneuve. Damon Hill having to move out the way. And here's Eddie Irvine on a purple lap so far. Quickest in the first sector. Eddie Irvine, who was really robbed of the 1999 World Championship, wasn't he? I think I'm getting my facts right. That was it Malaysia? If Schumacher would have let Irvine by, he would have won the World Championship. Because obviously Schumacher wasn't in the competition for it because of his broken leg. Again, I could be wrong there, but I'm sure there was one race, had Irvine won, and I know F1 and many sports is a game of what ifs and if-whens and all the rest of it, but it does make you wonder. So let's accelerate time a little bit. Let's have a look at what our drivers are doing. Now, we've got a bit more fuel in the car, so I'm not expecting hero laps. A 141 from Giancarlo. What about Alex? So 142, so not quite as quick as the first laps that they did. Let's bring them in, because it's senseless just to do laps upon laps to burn the cars out. Giancarlo's happy, and Alex wants the suspension stiffening slightly. So heading into qualifying, it looks like we're about mid-pack. We're well behind the top two. I mean, that's a stonker of a lap from Heinz-Harald Frentzen to sneak in between the two Ferraris. But we're quite a way off the top six, ignoring the fact that Damon Hill hasn't been able to do a lap time. But we're in there with Johnny Herbert, Alessandro Zanardi. I mean, Jacques Villeneuve's done a very good lap time in that BAR. But this is where it all comes to ruin, doesn't it? In qualifying. Now, this was pre-modern qualifying, so you had 12 laps. What makes it interesting here is that, of course, the shorter runs you do, so if you do a one lap run, obviously your in lap counts as well, and your out lap. So you get shafted that way for doing short runs. However, we are going to do initially one short run. Now, number 19's gone out. That's Jarno Trulli. Let's see if we can get out with Jacques Villeneuve. Yeah, we've got no traffic. That's good. Did I say Jacques Villeneuve? Not Giancarlo? Possibly. So we put 9 litres of fuel on the car, which is a bit of a risk because you can see, I mean, that's already gone down to 8. That's a bit worrying. The average per lap's just below 3. Now, that's been holding position, so we might have been a little bit silly there. And Giancarlo might run out of fuel. If he does, there are another 4 cars to choose from to whack Giancarlo in. Based on that, we're going to take Alex Wurz and bring him out, but put a bit more fuel in the tank. But we want him to come out clear of any traffic. So number 20's just come out. I can't quite recall the numbers. Let's go for it now before anybody else gets the chance. We're going to accelerate time a little bit. And then what we want to do, and this is dangerous, when it comes to the punch points, we'll get him to start pushing now just before the lap starts. And then when we get to the last corner, this is a risk everything lap. Nothing's really going to change. This is the lowest amount of fuel we'll have in the car all session. So it's time for Giancarlo to go like hell. And we'll go on board with him in just a minute. Right, so Wurz is at the last corner. So we'll now go on board with Giancarlo Fisichella. So he's quickest than the first time that's been set, which was an outlap by Rubens Barrichello. So that is a little bit academic, really. Luca Badoa, I think, has just set a lap time. So that's one of the things where that director cam is a bit stupid sometimes. It'll go, well, Luca Badoa's just set a lap time. Well, it is outlap, so it's not representative at all. We have got Giancarlo on risk everything, so it is possible Giancarlo might just put it in the wall. I don't think you can... Yeah, okay, there's Wurz. So we'll see Giancarlo get into the third sector. We'd expect Giancarlo to be the fastest of the two here, given he's our number 1 driver. But we saw Alex Wurz got some pretty good stats as well, so he might impress. So he's 4.4 up after 3 sectors. After the first sector, Alex Wurz is a 10th down on Giancarlo. But it looks like, unless somebody's going to rain on his parade ahead of him, that at least temporarily, Giancarlo Fisichella is going to take the lead in this qualifying session. So as we come around the final corner, I'm going to have to change it straight away to ease off as soon as he gets to the line. Worried a bit about running out of fuel. But what's that going to do? It's a fastest lap of a 1:37.496. And we're in direct competition really with Rubens, aren't we? So Rubens Barrichello, you can see, is way off that time. So that's good news for us so far. Alex is also 3 seconds off, so I think he's been held up by a car behind possibly, which is a little bit disappointing. So, we're top of the tree so far. It's an hours long qualifying session, so everybody's not going to be out there uber early. And there he is, Alex Wurz, trailing the VAR coming up to the line. That's a bit disappointing. So there's Giancarlo. And Vert's a 143.1. Really hurt by traffic on that lap. Okay, let's accelerate time a little bit. Make sure our two guys, yep. So they got back to the pits. Anything they want changing with the car? So stiffened by 1%. And let's just see what happens. So have we got Michael out there or anybody at the moment? So Johnny Herbert's lit star lap time. That's a bit of a concern. And we've got the two Jordans out there now. So the two Jordans I would have thought are going to do something. I mean, the Williams car of Ralf Schumacher's way off. But, I mean, yeah. Heinz Harald's a second and a half up just in that first sector. So we'll give it a bit more time, see where we are. We're currently 7th. So one more driver to set a lap time. And that was, well, David Coulthard. So it's going to be 10th for Giancarlo at the moment. Verts desperately needs to set another lap, doesn't he? So we'll put a bit more fuel in the car and just get him to push. And then I think we'll wait a bit with Giancarlo. He's got a decent lap on the board. We've got plenty of time towards the end of the session where other drivers might have used up their quota. We're not going to risk everything on this occasion. We just need Verts to get a lap time in. Currently P10 with Giancarlo. Got a bit more fuel on board. Okay, he's in clean air, is Alex. That's looking like a good lap, that is, so far. Because unless he loses massively in the next two sectors, he's going to be, I would have thought, as a minimum, on a par with Giancarlo Fisichella. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. And there might be the offering. Yeah, I would love to do a full series on this because I could easily while the day away playing this of my own volition. So if you guys want to see a full series on this, then please do let me know down below. This just isn't a video for a quick 15-minute plug and play Retro Sundays. There's got to be a lot more than that. So Verts has put himself up into 12th, which I thought he would have been a bit further up than that, to be honest. But nevertheless, it's better than he was. So he's going to have a couple more laps at it. Again, his tyre wear going to make a difference possibly here. So we can see Verts' time. Now, admittedly, the UI isn't the most aesthetically pleasing or the best to use, but that's nostalgia. So he's gone very slightly better on his last lap, 139.2. So he's got, that one he's just done in him. Now, we'll see if that was another improvement. I don't think it was based on the times. No, 139.6. So I think Verts has pretty much done as good as he can do, which is a bit disappointing for us, being so far off the time of Giancarlo Fisichella. So we're going to put Giancarlo out, do a similar sort of thing with Giancarlo here. And then go for a sort of do or die lap towards the end of the session. Well, that's a bit disappointing from Giancarlo. I don't know if it's fuel based or the fact he just wasn't pushing like hell, but he was nowhere near his lap times. Equally, all of those lap times were quicker than Verts' best, so we've got quite a gap between our two drivers currently. I mean, again, just look, 16 seconds between Mika in first and Janae at the bottom. I think if we pushed like hell, we might be able to just take that one place off Ralf Schumacher. But at the moment, we're very much 6th best, aren't we? I mean, the top 4 teams in a bit of a world of their own. And we're very much in cahoots with Williams. So that's interesting. So we're going to put the least amount of fuel in possible with Alex Verts. And just push like hell. We'll do the same with Giancarlo, but we'll leave it a second because you can see there's a bit of traffic up ahead. I don't really want to get into that, so that's okay. And then we'll leave it the longest opportunity possible so we can conserve our fuel until we get to the line, risk everything. That McLaren is getting close. He might overtake us on our lap, but to be fair, the McLaren is probably going to be quicker on a slow lap than we are on a fast lap, so I'm okay with all that. So you can see Alex probably go on. What about the helicopter cam? That's just an annoying sound, I think, for you guys in the background, so we shan't do that. So we come round the penultimate corner under the Castrol banner. And as we come out the final corner, it's time for Alex to launch it. You can see that the McLaren's getting a bit annoyed behind. So what are we aiming for here? I'd love to go into the top 10 with both drivers. That would be the aim. So Alex Wurz starts his lap. We're going to keep an eye on Giancarlo Fisichella as well. So there's Alex Wurz. So were we circa 2 seconds off the pace after the first sector of our lap with Alex Wurz, our best lap if I remember correctly, possibly. Need to keep an eye on Giancarlo as well, just to make sure we do get there at the right time. So he's 1.5 off after the first sector. I feel like that could be an improvement then for Alex Wurz. Okay, the McLaren is still stuck behind Giancarlo, so I hope he doesn't slow down on the straight to let him through. That would be a disaster. I think that is that DC behind. I feel like it was number 2. Okay, the McLaren's coming into the pits, so there's no risk of Giancarlo having to pull over to let the McLaren through. And you can see, there we go, Giancarlo is flying. Here we go, ready for his do or die lap in this session. Alex Wurz is 3.3 seconds down on the pace after the first 2 sectors. So, we'll see, are we going to be about 5 seconds down? Yeah, bang on. So if you say about 1.8 down on the pace, you should be about 6.6. So that would put him about Ralf Schumacher territory, based on an average loss of time through all the sectors. What's Giancarlo done in the first sector? So he's a 10th better than that. So, here we go. Alex Wurz. I mean, I'm not too worried about conserving fuel, because if we run out of fuel now, at the end of the day, we can't do any more laps, so that's fine. Where's Alex going to put himself? And it's no improvement. Oh, Alex. Well, we'll do a post-mortem and see how far Alex was off the times. But that's a shock, because I thought he would have been further up. Giancarlo Fisichella, on the other hand, already in the top 10. Would like to have had both drivers in the top 10, but this lap's needed, I think, to secure his place in the top 10. Yeah, Wurz did his best lap, but still quite a way off his teammate. 1.5 seconds off. So we've got the Stewart car of either Herbert or Barrichello up in front. Gets out the way decently, considering how poor the traffic can be on this game. Into the final corner we go. I mean, Giancarlo, how much has he got to improve by? Yeah, it needs a bit of a hero lap. He needs to improve by 0.5 seconds to get ahead of the other Williams of Ralf Schumacher. Is he going to have enough to do it? He's not. And that's going to be it for our qualifying session. So, Fisichella didn't improve. So Giancarlo was a 38.9. So he couldn't get anywhere near that 37.4. Maybe that just was a hero lap, because that's more on the pace of Wurz, which would suggest that's all that the car could do today. We can't set another lap anyway, because we haven't got the fuel. So that's the end of our qualifying session. We're going to be 10th and 12th for the Australian Grand Prix. That is a brilliant qualifying from Heinz-Harald Frentzen, or rather a poor qualifying from Damon Hill, possibly. So strategy-wise, suggesting that the fastest strategy is a free stop. That's interesting. What we have to do, one of the things I enjoyed doing, so if you say 3 litres a lap, maybe, I don't know, add 1. If we're going to push, possibly. And then you're doing 14 laps there, so maybe put the same in. 13, so probably 45. And then 15 to the end of the race, do another 45. Wurz, we don't really want a double stack, so we'll make Wurz. We'll actually put Wurz out a couple of laps. In fact, you know what? We'll put Wurz out for a longer first stint, but then bring him in, you know, so he can almost fly on that second stint. And then give him preferential treatment on the third as well. So he does a longer first stint. So that's probably going to need 60 litres. 10 laps, going to need 30. So you're going to have less fuel in the tank. 12, that's 42, call it 43. And then what did we say? 16 laps, call it 48 litres. 49. Here we go then. So we're going to push to start off within this race. Fisichella with far less fuel in the tank to start off this Australian Grand Prix. The top 6 only score points, so it's going to take a couple of retirements, I think, for our drivers to possibly score points here. Now, it's saying Alexander Wurz is in last. I'm hoping that's not the case, and I'm hoping Alexander Wurz hasn't had a wobble at the first corner. And despite, we'll gloss over that fact, the fact that some cars have merged into the other. Now, he's behind is that a Prost he's behind? So Wurz, both Wurz and Fisichella have dropped by 1 place at the start. That's a bit of a disaster. Fisichella now behind both Williams cars. So Giancarlo's in P11. Alex is in P13. But you can see there's quite a big gap behind Giancarlo to Alex Wurz. We're much quicker than this Prost. The Prost that has a rear wing that keeps the team floating in and out of view. Maybe not optimised this game possibly for the Windows 11 platform. He has a sniff up the inside, does Alex Wurz, but it is not going to happen. Let's see what the director mode's showing us. Who's leading this Grand Prix? Is it Mika Hakkinen from the front row of the grid? It is. There's Mika Hakkinen. And you can see he's being chased down by the Ferrari, presumably of Michael Schumacher. The other Ferrari just about in distance, but David Coulthard is some way off. So Giancarlo in P11. You can see he's 2 seconds clear of Olivier Panis already. I mean, Wurz is crying to get past Olivier Panis here. He's gone up the inside. Has he made the move stick? He's merged into Olivier Panis' car. And that hasn't happened, so that's disappointing. But you can see there's some overtaking action going on in front. There's a car moving to the inside. The Jordan's moving to the inside. Is he going to make an overtake? Can't really see because we've gone back on board with Giancarlo Fisichella. But this is critical for our race, for Alex Wurz to get past Olivier Panis. And we've both gone up 1 place and then dropped. Giancarlo's got past Alessandro Zanardi. Wurz has got past Denis, and you can see he's pulled quite a gap on. So we'll keep pushing the tyres for a few laps. Probably to lap 5. Giancarlo's now got past Schumacher and Damon Hill. Wurz quicker than Zanardi, so this might be an indication more than anything, I suppose, that we are on a strategy that is maybe we've got less fuel in the car, a free stop strategy. I mean, look at the gap. Look at the gap between is that Rubens Barrichello at the front of this train to then the next McLaren. I mean, Damon Hill, this has been a really poor race for him so far because he's behind Giancarlo Fisichella and Heinz-Harald Frenzen's driving the pants off that Jordan in between the 2 Ferraris. But equally, look back at the arrows of the Minardis, nearly a lap down after 6. Unbelievable. This game is such a buzz. I think Alex Wurz should be fine because, you know, he's well ahead of Pedro Denis in behind. Well, Fisichella's lost a bit of time now. I guess that's because of the push that he did early on. We can look at anybody who's pitted, so they haven't. So Damon Hill's retired from this race through driver error. So that has promoted us up 1 place permanently. I don't think we're in this battle with Ralf Schumacher today. I think it's going to be ourselves and Zanardi possibly. And Giancarlo has dropped massively. And that's because he's pitted. So he's gone... Oh, has he? No, he hasn't. No, that's good. Phew. So Giancarlo did pit. He's gone behind Alex Wurz, but he's come out in quite a nice position here, albeit being lapped by the McLaren. Because he's got free air in front of him, so we'll push for a few more laps. See if we can maybe jump the Williams. I think that might be a bit of a task, but it does make you wonder if Alessandro Zanardi and Ralf Schumacher are putting more fuel in the car, whether that can help us out. Giancarlo, has he just pitted? So he pitted... we'll probably be able to see that from here, whether Giancarlo pitted on the last lap. So yeah, it was a 2:03 dead. His fastest lap was a 1:39.3. So let's fast forward things a little bit. And we'll be able to see then what Giancarlo's lap times are like. I mean, he's 13 seconds behind. He's already ahead of Alex Wurz. He's already overtook Wurz. So let that sink in. Giancarlo Fisichella, with an extra pit stop, has got past Alex Wurz. So it is clear, I would suggest, that the free stop is definitely the strategy here. We're lean on fuel as well. That's number 8. Isn't that Jordan? It can't be the Jordan. I'm sure the yellow was the Jordan. Well, what other car could that be? It's saying Zanardi's next up. Mika Hakkinen's dropped to 6. I'm guessing he's pitted then. Let's have a look at the lap times of Giancarlo. There you go, 1:38.9. So he's done his fastest lap of the race so far. So Giancarlo's up to P9. Is Zanardi coming in this lap by any chance? Probably say no. No, he's not. Okay. So we'll push a little bit further. Alex Wurz is coming in a couple of laps of time. Probably got to keep an eye on his fuel, actually, because if we're not careful, Alex could run out of fuel before he makes his pit stop. I think, actually, we're gonna pit him now. A, because of the fuel situation. But B, because he's... Well, yeah, it is mainly because of the fuel situation. But B, because Fisichella's already 8 seconds in front. We've got a nice gap behind as well to Jacques Villeneuve. Unless the pit stop's an absolute disaster, we should be okay. Now, he's been out there for a few laps now as Giancarlo, so I think we can put him back to hold position. We don't want to burn the tyres out altogether. So, you'll be able to see from here, this is the pit stop animation. Now, I don't know if there's any rule of thumb to this, but if we are putting less fuel in the car, effectively the pit stop should be quicker. I think we had the quickest pit stop of the race with Giancarlo. Normally you get, well, most of the time you get a number of seconds in the pits. Let's see what that has come up with. So Alex Wurz, an 8-second pit stop. So that would probably, yes, suggest that because we're putting less fuel in the car, we've got a better chance. We've come out. There's number 14 of, is that the arrows? Oh, okay. Well, we've held him up. We're happy with that. We don't want to try and overtake the arrows again. So Zanardi's 11 seconds in front. But I think Zanardi's on another strategy here. Let's compare lap times. Where's Ralph? Ralph's come in, has he? No, he hasn't. So what's happened to Ralph? Ralph's dropped back massively. What's happened to Ralf Schumacher? Oh, Ralph has just pitted. Okay, so that's probably a bit of a glitch in the system as such. So, there's Ralph. We wondered, could we jump ahead? Yeah, he's way ahead. So, oh, Ralf Schumacher's only just coming in. So, there's Ralph. Here's Giancarlo. Come on, son, let's push. Oh, yeah. No, we don't want Alex to pit again. Yeah, that's fine. So where is he? That's number 4. That's not Ralph. Did Ralph manage to sneak out in front? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Ah, shocking. But he's only just ahead of Alessandro Zanardi. Ralf Schumacher with a good pit stop. So we should be able to jump Zanardi again. We're going to push all stint with Alex Wurz just to see if we can get that gap back a little bit. And see what happens. Now, Zanardi, I'm assuming, has pitted because he's dropped below Giancarlo. Wurz still with the fastest pit stop of the race here. Has Johnny Herbert pit? Yeah, he has. So I'll be interested to see, is our free stop strategy going to be replicated throughout the field? So Alex has already jumped past Giancarlo. Now, has Giancarlo been in again? Yeah, Giancarlo's pitted twice, so he's dropped behind there. Albeit I think we've got a bit of a glitch with what's going on. So, there we go. Here comes Wurz into the pits after his push. So, let's have a look what that did for him, having that push. I mean, yeah, it wasn't... I mean, the lap times dropped off pretty quickly, didn't they? But saying that, still quicker than Giancarlo. We've got quite a bit of fuel on board, so I have to take that into account. So where's Wurz going to filter out? Just behind Giancarlo. Now, David Coulthard's crashed out, so that gives us another place. However, Zanardi is now in front. Quite a way in front as well. Ah, Zanardi hasn't pitted for the second time, has he? No, he hasn't. We're the only guys who have pitted twice, so... Oh, no! Alex has retired. Barge board failure. Oh, that's a blow. So Alex has retired, so we've only got one guy in the race now. Oh, that's disappointing. It can happen. Reliability in these days was a lot less secure than it was back in the day. I mean, I don't want to get to the end of this race and have nobody left. That would be a disaster. So 15 laps, 49 litres. I'm okay with that. Push like hell to the end of this lap, Giancarlo. See if we can get that 8th place, because if we have a couple of guys go out ahead, we might just be able to sneak a point. Ricardo's on to the latest to retire with an electronics failure. Mika Hakkinen, it seems, is going to waltz to this Grand Prix win. He's pitted twice, Irvine's pitted twice, Schumacher twice. So Schumacher, quite a way behind. And Coulthard never really in the race. Damon Hill must wonder what he's been doing. So tyre wear 11%. We're pushing like hell here to try and close the gap to Alessandro Zanardi, knowing that realistically there's not really going to be anything to it, because we know Zanardi's pitted twice. Lap times wise, he's doing low 139s, and Giancarlo, he's doing 144s. So I think we're going to be on the wrong side of this battle, but we can try our best. We never give up. So, last pit stop of this race. Yeah, okay, so we haven't got the... Ah, there you go. It's on this screen. So, 8 seconds was the quickest. Not quite as quick this time, 8.9. But that's a decent pit stop. Remembering, of course, we are putting fuel into the car. That's a Ferrari we're coming out behind. I'm okay with that. And then we have the Williams behind, is that? Number 6. Possibly could be Ralph Schumacher. He could be a lap in front of us by now, maybe. And Eddie Irvine's out with an engine failure. I don't want to push too much. I don't want to push too much because we are close. If a couple of extra things go our way to getting ourselves a point with Benetton here. And Mika Hakkinen's now retired from a driver error. And Point Harold Frenchen's had a brake failure. So from nowhere, we are in the points. Now, Zanardi's a long way in front. He's only stopped twice. And that seems to be, yeah, everybody has stopped either once or twice. So, what lap times are we doing compared to Zanardi? I mean, we've got the seventh fastest lap. In terms of fastest lap, we're way quicker than Zanardi. Surely his tyres must be wearing now. So he's doing, I mean, he's just done a 145. Giancarlo's done a 143, so yeah, it's not going to be enough. But we have a points position. Going to ease off until the end of the race, just to make sure we bring it home. Or hope, at least for the best, that we bring it home. So, is this the last lap of the race? Michael Schumacher's going to win this. All of his opponents have dropped out. Both McLarens, both Jordans. His teammate. He's won this almost by default. Double podium for Stewart as it stands. And Michael Schumacher, there you go, he wins the Grand Prix. So I think as we come across the line here, we should end off our Grand Prix, as, if I'm correct in saying that. Is this going to be the end of our Grand Prix, or do we need to get to the end of the race? No, we do have to get to the end of the 58 laps, so no pressure there, eh? Couple of more laps to go. So the top 5 have crossed the line. And here we go. Giancarlo Fisichella on the final lap. Starting 10th. Yes, we've had some retirements that have helped us today. What hasn't helped us is that our two direct opponents in the championship have had big scoring days today. Stewart and Williams are the two teams we want to really beat. And they've had massive days today. Well, we knew we were probably only on for 1 point anyway, because let's face it, Alex Wurz has been behind Giancarlo all weekend. Not really a surprise, he's a number 2 driver. But nevertheless, it would have been nice to have done better, but a solitary point for the Benetton team is more than we could probably hope for in most races. And I have to say, I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that. So if you want to see a career mode, a season in this game, we could do the Arrows Challenge, which is notoriously difficult. Probably not much fun. Probably me tearing my hair out and wishing I've never done it. Going for the title. Going for something like this Benetton series. Trying to build Benetton up. The Endstone team. But anyway, for today, we can celebrate what is an unexpected point. One that we probably didn't deserve based on our pace all weekend. But Giancarlo Fisichella crosses the line and picks up the final points in this Grand Prix. The only guy to have done a free stop. You know, we were a long way behind Zanardi, so I don't think that would have made any difference. And from a news item, there you go. Michael Schumacher took the checkered flag. Jean Todt commented that the win was the result of excellent teamwork. Well, that's going to be it for today's Retro Sunday. And I have thoroughly enjoyed that. You can see we've got a solitary points on the board. So a good start for us. Arrow's in 5th, but that's purely from an alphabetical perspective. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this, because I really have. If you want me to carry this on or start a new one, then please let me know down in the comments. But this has been an absolute joy. Ladies and gentlemen, EA Sports F1 Manager. And I feel like just giving this game a solitary round of applause. You might be applauding back at home, but who knows. If you've enjoyed this, leave a like down below. And comment your thoughts down below. Subscribe for more retro content on the channel. Until the next time, thank you for your company. And I'll see you all later. Goodbye for now.